Coming up on today's show.
Because it isn't just all coming in a short period of time. It's actually all year long.
I think a lot of times your tax accountant will give you a list of like forms, but not like where would you keep them or how you would categorize.
My recommendation is that you hold all the tax supporting documents along with the filed return document, and I mean a hard copy of this, not just a digital copy. Have a hard copy and put that in a fire-safe box.
Organizing for tax preparation. Today on Keeping You Organized. Hello and welcome to Keeping You Organized. It's getting to be that time of the year where we've got to start getting ready for tax time. It's going to be here before you know it. So we're going to talk about organizing for tax preparation. Now, we're not going to give you any tax tips on how to save this money by moving, it into some kind of sheltered investment. No, we're going to talk about how all the papers and things that you need. So when I think about organizing, who do I think about? Louise Kurzika. Everything's together.
Hey, thanks,
you've
John.
always got some kind of system for keeping us organized, don't you?
Well, I try.
Okay.
And I guess having been in business for going on 24 years, I have, I think, handled almost every kind of life challenge you can with clients.
Well, and because we get taxed so little, I guess there's not much we have to organize, right?
No. Were it only to be true. Yeah. So what is it that you hate about tax? About what goes on with taxes?
Well, other than paying them, which is always painful, is just where is everything? Because they just don't send you everything right after the first of the year, right?
Right.
Sometimes they send it to you like in June. Sometimes so how do I know where to keep things and keep it organized? And then when the accountant says, "Okay, come visit me." And bring this, and this, and then you're scrambling trying to find all the different things. So
right, because time is money when it comes to the accountant.
Yeah, you don't want to be spending a lot of their time doing that. So those are some of the things. So really, that when we talk about preparation, it's not the tax return. We're talking about just all the things that you need in order to get your taxes done.
Boy, and you hit the nail on the head, because this is exactly what I hear from my clients when it comes to this time of year, because it isn't just all coming in a short period of time. It's actually all year long. Right. You have things. So it's really a tool or an issue that we have to address with tools all through the year. We can't just sort of wait until January and hope for the best there.
Well, how do we get started, Louise? What's the best way to get our hands around this monster?
Well, I think the first thing is you got to make a checklist of what is it that you need.
Right.
Because if you have a checklist, it's going to be much easier to know what have I got, what haven't I got, and to get it contained in a safe and secure location while you're gathering things.
Well, where can somebody get a checklist?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question, John. Yes. Well, you know what a fan I am of the checklist under Smead Ergonomics at the Smead.com website.
Yes.
And lo and behold.
You guys happen to have the tax time checklist with you?
It's not just a one-page because it's taxes. No. It's a two-page.
So anytime we're dealing with the government, we got to have lots of paper. So
But this is great because, again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. Even if your accountant sends you a tax organizer to fill out, this is a fast study and a quick way. And I've put it into one of these Poly Project jackets that Smead makes, which are really nice because they're secure really on three sides when you use the flap. Because as I gather items, I can take my dry erase marker and next to the little notation item, I can fill in the little circle as I get things. So it's really clear to me when I look at this, what am I missing? What have I already retained and received? And I could even, if I wanted to, note if these are in more than one location, where the location is. But ideally, we're going to keep them as we gather them all in one place.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times your tax accountant will give you a list of like forms, but not like where would you keep them or how you would categorize or organize them, right?
That's right. So this kind of helps with that. Now, there's another way that you can look at this because there's basically income and there's deductions. Yeah. So where would you have all that information? Your previous year's tax returns.
Exactly, yeah.
So another way to make sure that what things on this list are relevant to you is to pull out those last couple years and make those be the ones you might highlight as you go along here. Like, okay, then I don't have to worry about the ones that aren't highlighted because I don't have anything related to mileage, driving for volunteer activities. So I'm not going to worry about that. And that even condenses the list to something even more manageable, because we know from organization we get overwhelmed when there's too much to do. So if we can break it down into manageable steps and groups and categories, we're much more likely to be successful at it.
And for those listening on the podcast, this checklist, along with a variety of checklists, can be found at smead.com/checklist. So we have the tax time one, and then just about a checklist for everything you can do. So it's a great thing. So check out that, or go to the show notes at smead.com/podcast.
Oh, right.
You can find out. So, all right, we have the checklist in place. I'm feeling that there's more to this system, huh?
Well, that's part one.
Okay.
Yeah, because that tells us what we need. But now when we gather it, we've got to have a place to put it.
Okay.
And lo and behold,
well,
there's an all-in-one income tax organizer, which is a great tool.
It's amazing that Smead sponsors this podcast, and lo and behold, on the show we have an income tax organizer.
It is. It's a wonder.
It's just, it's great planning.
Shameless promotion there.
Product placement. That's what we're calling it, right?
But the reality is that, you got to have a tool.
Right.
And that's what Smead has thought through. And what I love is that a lot of these kinds of purposeful tools, beyond just straight folders and so forth, that Smead has engaged professional organizers to get our input to find out what is it our clientele is looking for.
Right.
And they've listened to that and added features that make this work better. So what I love about this particular one is, of course, it can be secured with this great elastic rope, so that things are not going to fall out when it's not being used. It's going to transport really easy to the accountant.
Right.
But we just take that off, and we can see we've got 12 pockets here that we can work with. Now, some people would look at this and say, oh my gosh, look at all those pockets. Well, I don't know. What do I need to do? Well, guess what? Pre-printed labels.
Yes.
So all those things that are on your checklist, all those categories that you found on your income tax return that you need to have, like mortgage insurance deduction or IRA contribution, you're going to have some either pre-printed labels or blank labels that you can put in here. And now you can categorize and separate the materials. As they come in and you check them off, boom, they've got a home right here,
now,
which
if someone
works out
really
nice.
wants to get super creative and have colorful things or little icons, they can go to our viewables.com site and use our label creator and create all kinds of
great idea.
If you want to do a masterpiece and want to be creative and want to have color coding and some of those things. So
well, the idea with this too is that this can be an organizer to use year after year. As you're putting things together, or if you're the kind of person who's like, once I put it all in there, I'm going to add the finished return, and I'm just going to put that in my fireside box.
Another one for the next year, right?
Right, exactly, because then at least they know it's safe and secure all in that one grouping. So I think it works for either type of person out there, which is nice. There's also a great tip sheet here too, which is a little bit of a how-to, and again, the same kind of checklist. There's a quick little checklist inside of here as well. So again, it gives you a couple of different tools that you might like to use.
Great. Well, I know there's more tools. We're going to take a quick little break here. And when we come back, we'll talk more tools that we can use and more tax tips for tax season. So we're with Louise Krzyzka from everythingstogether.com, and we'll be right back.
When you've got it together, everyone can tell. Your confidence is obvious. Introducing Viewables.com from Smead. Use the Viewables labeling system to transform your drawer of hanging files into a tidy, organized filing system. Using the premium hanging folder tabs, see the label from the front, top, and back. It's easy. Access Viewables.com from any computer, tablet, or internet-enabled smartphone. Let's make some labels. It's free, and there's nothing to download or install. Choose the label type and format your label just the way you want. You can even add index characters or icons for distinctive filing. Set up a free Viewables cloud account, and your secure login lets you save your projects for convenient access from any computer. And with Viewables multi-purpose labels, you can use one label for any type of file, including hanging folders, top tab folders, super tab folders, or oversized items like notebooks and file boxes. Upload a list of file headings and print your complete set of labels in moments. There's even a library of templates for commonly used label sets. It's never been easier to set up neat-looking files that have easy-to-read headings and efficient color codes. Obviously organized. Viewables.com. From Smead, keeping you organized.
We are back now on Keeping You Organized, talking about tips for tax preparation. And we're not talking about how you fill out the form. That's what your accountant or your tax person is for. No legal advice of any kind on this program. But to make that a lot less stressful and easier, we are going over tips for getting your papers and important documents organized. And Louise Krzyzka from everythingstogether.com, we have gone through now in the first half the Smead all-in-one income tax organizer, a great tool that's got kind of everything built in.
Yep.
But you know, that may not be for everybody, right? There's lots of different ways you can keep your documents organized, right?
Right, that's a great tool, especially if you have a lot of papers, a lot of information, maybe tons of investments, tons of deductions. But if you need something a little simpler, or if you're the kind of client that I work with who often needs a visual reminder, something out in the open that they see that they need to do this, I have an alternate tool, which again, Smead makes. Can you imagine?
Boy, they're going to have to pay big time to be involved in this program, I think. You know, the exposure alone off this podcast.
They should be.
Yeah, it's great.
So I want the dramatic effect here. Could you
drum roll? Oh,
yes, we have the cascading
wall organizer. Yeah,
Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
Isn't that wonderful?
I just love looking at this thing. It's
I know,
pretty, right?
I know, which is great. So why would this be an alternate choice? Well, one, the colors could help people categorize. Yeah. So income things could be in one, deductions could be in another, forms might be in another. The tax organizer that the accountant sends you could be in another, and so on and so forth. Or if your kids are starting out and having jobs, they don't have too many pieces of paper coming in, they can probably just have a folder. And so obviously you can label along here. What's neat, these do
this is a great feature. I think people
remove,
love it.
So we can pull them off, work with this folder maybe over at the table, the dining table, your desk. And in the meantime, this could be hanging up on the wall in your office, in your kitchen, in your bathroom, wherever you need to be.
In the bathroom's a great one, you know, for all those tax
Exactly. Well, you know, if it means that you'll see it and you'll remember to do it, that's what we're really after here. What I like about this is this may be a tool that once I've gotten, let me get that guy back on there. Once I fold it up, and again, here's information. You could have a calendar in the front. I put in some printout of where can I get help from the IRS or other. Your resources could be right in the front here, easy to grab. When I get the elastic strap around it that secures it, I can now take this with me, again, to the accountant. I've got it all together in one piece. And then when I'm done with the project, I can maybe get all that into a different container for taxes, and I could reuse this for another project that I might be working on. So it becomes a tool that you invest in that really can be reused for a multiple of things, and then next year, tax season, we start again.
Well, let's talk just a little bit more about gathering and sorting, because you know, we've got the containers, we've got some systems here, but any tips on just how to get things put together, and I know it's kind of an ongoing process. It's not like, okay, it's January 5th, time for me to get to work. What's a good long-term way to handle
I think like a lot of projects that we're involved in, it's good for us to create a timeline and say, what's my goal? What's my year-end goal? Well, for most people, the year-end goal is not to get their tax information to the accountant on April 14th. That's going to be a little late. Or even to fill it out yourself if you have taxes that are simple enough that you do them yourself, that you're going to be doing it then. So give yourself, look at the calendar, give yourself some days out, and actually write into your calendar, whether that's paper-based or digitally make an entry, on some dates in which you have done certain steps. So it might be, gather up everything that came in the mail. Second thing might be because you are getting some information digitally.
Oh, yeah.
Might be to say go print out all that digital information and then put the digital files all into one income tax folder for this calendar year. So again, you've got a way to find it. Right. A third thing you might put on the calendar is set aside a session to begin looking at just gathering the charitable deductions.
Yes.
Because that's always one, if you make a lot of deductions, it's like, well, I got that little raffle ticket from the Basilica Block Party.
Right.
And then I had the Girl Scouts were here or the Boy Scouts were here and I bought that from them. Where do I have all that stuff? Well, if you haven't contained it, you're going to have to take a little time to try to find it. So giving yourself these steps along the way, again, breaks down the project, makes it a little bit easier to find it. So you could go back to that checklist and make some dates next to them as to when do I want to get that done by, some to accomplish, and then work that into your time management system.
Right. Well, and I think it's important too because nobody wants to get audited, right?
Right.
But if you have good backup, if you have all your things where you know they are, it's going to give you a lot of peace of mind as well.
You know, I had an experience like this for my business many years ago, and it was an auditor looking at subcontractors, which many of us do employ other organizers on big projects and such. And so the audit was to start at 10 a.m. And I'm happy to say, because we had all the paperwork, the audit ended at 10:10 a.m.
Nice.
And the auditor said, I've got time to go get an oil change before my next appointment. So it really does pay to have your paperwork. Now, the one thing we haven't talked about is what happens to all this after.
Oh, yeah.
This has been in process. My recommendation is that you hold all the tax supporting documents along with the filed return document, and I mean a hard copy of this, not just a digital copy. Have a hard copy and put that in a fire safe box that you hold on the lowest level of your home, because remember, heat rises, so you want to give it the best chance, and put that fire safe box by an outside brick wall, cement wall, and make sure it's always locked. And those are the key pieces to containing those tax documents, so they're safe through any kind of a disaster, because that's the hard part. They'd be expensive or difficult to replace. Another backup is to load up to the cloud if you have some digital, safe record keeping type of service you use. Get those digital files of that filed return back up, or if you print out, go to a flash drive or a disk, get those in an alternate safe location, either a fire safe box or safe deposit box. In other words, don't just rely upon, well, I'm done with it now, I can throw it in a file cabinet, because in case of, if it does happen, if disaster occurs, you got to be prepared. And this is the way to think about it.
And you also, you may need to refer back to it for
Good point.
A year or two, to see, well, what did I do 2 years ago on that? So it's really important to retain those documents. And we're not going to give any tax advice. I've heard, 7 years, but it's just good to hold on to it, especially a digital backup would be even better. It would give you an extra layer of protection as well.
And without taking up much physical space. I think the best advice is talk to your tax attorney or your preparer, given your specific situation, and find out what their recommendation is for how long you need to keep the documentation. As a note, almost every accountant will tell you, you keep the returns always.
Oh, okay.
You keep the returns always, because that is your earning record, which relates to Social Security down the road.
Okay.
The IRS tells Social Security what you made each year based on your tax return and the documents your employer sends in.
Nice.
So that's why that would be a reason why you might be referring to something 20 years ago when you get to retirement age, and then you can be sure you're getting your full allotment of what you earned.
Right. All right, well, we're just about out of time. I want to give you the opportunity to talk about your business a little bit, how people get a hold of you, and even as it relates to these kinds of services. Is this something that needs to be done in person or virtual? Tell us a little bit about it.
Boy, that's a really good question, John. I'm glad you asked it. So first, everything's together.
Okay.
And so everythingstogether.com. The phone number is 952-939. 8080. I am based in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, but I do work virtually with clients. And actually, gathering this type of information, setting up a tax system, is the perfect kind of task for a virtual consultation. I've taken some coaching courses that have helped improve my opportunities to really support people well with the accountability that they need in virtual organizing. So whether it's a project that they want to get done that they just don't get to, or if it could be because a lot of my clientele have issues with attention deficit disorder and organization, with anxiety or hoarding disorder, even depression. Those kinds of things that make it really difficult for them. I have taken a lot of training over the years to help me better support those people through the goals that they have.
Wow, that's incredible, Louise. Well, we'll just hopefully people will not wait until April 14th to call you, because you probably can't help them for this year, but
I hope not.
You can always get a hold of Louise, and again, we always appreciate when you come on to the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure, John.
All right, folks. Well, now that should help you get a few more deductions in your system for getting ready to get ready for tax season, which is right upon us, depending on when you're listening or watching to this program. So those are great tax tips, and if you need more information, you can find our show notes at smead.com/podcast, and we'll see you next time on Keeping You Organized.
Coming up next time on Keeping You Organized.
The transitions that people have in their lives are very important organizing times. I do think that you can't go into this thinking you are going to organize your parents. The reality is you can support their organizing, but we don't organize other people as much as we want to.
Right.